Everyone says they hate Euphoria. It's exploitative, unrealistic, over-sexualised and toxic. So why can't we stop watching it? The show is constantly criticised, but every episode generates a wave of opinions and disgust. Even though it's hated, it dominates online culture. And I'm starting to think that that is part of the appeal, because Euphoria portrays modern obsession and is modern obsession. Euphoria is built like social media. The show mimics the emotional logic of the internet, similar to scrolling through TikTok or an Instagram Reels feed. Watching Euphoria provides overstimulation, hyper-aesthetic visuals, constant emotional intensity, voyeurism, and instant gratification. Plus, the show's latest season took everything that Euphoria was known for, drugs, sex, violence, exploitation, and cranked it up to 11. The show's controversial creator Sam Levinson wants us to think of the episodes like films. We know this because he has used a title card at the start of every episode of season 3 that's reminiscent of the title cards of Hollywood's golden age. And he's also going for a Western theme this time, complete with saloons, standoffs, and cowboys. It's a stylistic show with stunning visuals, but it's not structured or paced like a film. The reason the show feels addictive is because it's structured like algorithmic content. It's constant short bursts of extreme moments that are designed to grab your attention. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the way that the show treats its characters.
You guys can all judge me if you want, but I do not care. I have never, ever been happier.
In the beginning, Euphoria was a visually led, sexually charged teen drama that viewed life through the flawed perspective of drug-addicted Rue. The gist of the show is that every person in Rue's circle of friends has their own identity issues and toxic behaviours that she lets us in on. It's kind of like story time. Get ready with me while I tell you about Cassie. Since the characters are teenagers, we know that they're each under a distinct pressure to build a good future for themselves, and they bear the weight of that intensely. Their youth also means that they haven't built emotional resilience, not in the way that in later in life you will have experienced loss and regret frequently enough to know how to handle it. You'll have the perspective to know what matters most in life. And Rue is a very strong character. Her storyline is one of the strongest, and her portrayal by Zendaya is absolutely phenomenal. The show captures the loneliness of each character in their unique misery as well. Even though they are all linked and going through a communal experience, their identities and their individual arcs are all very separate. This was compelling in the earlier seasons, but it's felt disconnected in season 3. Nate started out as an abusive, violent teenager, used to bullying people, including his own parents, into getting his own way. The show leaned into the most extreme version of Nate's flaws, and that let us see a very terrifying and dangerous person. In the latest season, however, all of that characterisation of Nate is played for laughs. He's still possessive, he's still angry, he's still unable to deal with a lack of control, but for some reason, we're invited to laugh at that. He isn't his sinister self. In fact, he's taking a lot of punishment and violence in an absurdly comical tone. It's like he is the comic relief character in a silent film. And it's this chop and change that makes it feel like the show is not trying to tell you a story, it's just desperately trying to keep your eyes on the screen. It's a shame because the show had the opportunity to portray how when extreme things happen to inexperienced people, this can alter the course of your life ahead, which would have been a really interesting position to take with the female characters, who each have their own struggles with identity, loneliness, and emotional inexperience. But the show constantly frames women as things to be watched, desired, evaluated, and consumed. Cassie is a classic example of femininity tied to male validation. Her self-worth is derived entirely through desirability, and we saw in her teenage years the emotional collapse hidden behind the outward beauty. Her body was used against her as well as sought after, and she struggled to deal with the reality that the same men who wanted to use her body were not interested in having a relationship or a future with her. And ultimately, she was left alone to deal with the aftermath. I think that's a very interesting dilemma for young women in the modern age, especially when social media gives us access to so much more than ever before. Our bodies and the way that we look are critiqued constantly, and that would have been a really interesting thing to follow. Instead, we pick up on Cassie engaged to Nate, and she's entering the adult entertainment business because she's trying to bail him out of a massive well of debt. It's the most extreme version of the hypersexualized woman, but we're not seeing any of the introspection and identity crisis that we saw in younger Cassie. Instead, we're getting this whining. Again, played for comic effect. Would the famous shot of Cassie looking beautiful in her mirror surrounded by flowers become as iconic if she was whining? The show is using the most attention-baiting, shock value visuals that they can think of. It feels like they're going, see Sydney Sweeney doing dildo things. I have seen so much of her story from season 3 chopped up into reels and spread across social media, and we love to hate it. Her character arc has come under fire for misrepresenting sex work and making it look like OnlyFans is a get-rich-quick scheme. Again, there are some truths to what's being portrayed, but also this is the most extreme example. I don't think anyone is really looking to Euphoria as inspiration to go and start an OnlyFans and get rich. But then if you don't have the ability to separate what's happening in media from real life, then maybe you are taking that influence. But honestly, anything the actress Sydney Sweeney does angers groups in some way, shape or form. She herself has become part of this cultural conversation that's ongoing and examines people on their behaviours and what they represent. Honestly, exploring the weight of that would be a really interesting watch. It looked like the show was trying to create another Flowers shot with the ring light at the end of season 3, but it didn't land the same. I was thankful that she wasn't whining, but I didn't care anymore about her journey. Like TikTok, we swiped past her and on to the next person. Maddie, on the other hand, weaponizes her appearance. She understood from a young age that visibility could be power. Power over men and power over other women. She performs confidence constantly and dresses to intimidate. And it's in season 3 that she begins to weaponize the appearance of others. She harnesses Cassie's attractive appearance and willingness to do anything and funnels it into a successful brand. She recruits other women and brings them into her business, almost like a modern-day pimp of the visual image. Instead of selling sex, Maddie knows that she can sell the idea of sex. The audience watching their screens are her customers, just like we are to Sam Levinson. Like Maddie, he knows exactly what to show us, to have us shocked, to have us coming back for more, and leaving just enough for the imagination. But unfortunately, Maddie is not immune to the aggressive power imbalance of men. Even a man who is apparently falling in love with her takes the first opportunity he can to exploit her for his own gain. Levinson could not give us a heroine. He couldn't just let Maddie be a baddie and not be fucked with. He had to put her in her place, or rather, throw her in her place. It was really disappointing that Alamo, a really interesting and complicated character, had this backstory that was all about how his mother tricked him, and so he hated her and vowed never to be tricked by a woman again. It's not uncommon for a character who makes all of their money off of women's bodies to have no respect for women, but to then blame that on another woman is just overkill. The show also failed to fulfill the narrative arcs of some of the other characters, including Kat and Jules. Both of those characters also found validation and identity through their bodies and their relationships with men. But both ended up in directions that didn't empower them or show growth of character. It's like the women in Euphoria become brands, curated, consumable, and performative. The show acts like it's critiquing commodification, all the while packaging its characters as commodities. It's using the tools that it's telling us to observe and critique against us to keep us hooked on the show. Euphoria is not the first show to show toxic, desperate teenagers. Skins was doing that about 20 years ago. Skins also showed unhinged and unhealthy behaviour and was criticised for glamorising it. But the characters of Skins didn't have the internet in their pocket. They didn't have Instagram, never mind OnlyFans, and being a content creator wasn't a thing. The world within Skins wasn't as performative, and neither was the world around it. There was no place to clip out short parts of the series and post about them and spark discussion. There was no sharing in that way. In fact, there wasn't even really a commentary YouTube scene, so channels like this one wouldn't be talking about it. And this is why Euphoria and other contemporary shows have this feeling built in. They exist in a world, a real world, where everything is dissected online. Everything is taken out of context and shown beyond the broadcast. And in 2026, shows like Euphoria are leaning into it. How can we make something so enticing that the audience can't ignore it? It's designed to rage bait you. It's designed to make you gaze at the characters. And it's designed to make you talk about it. Maybe that's why audiences return to this show that they supposedly hate. It's not that they reject the world that it portrays, but it tells us something about the world that we are trapped in. Watching Euphoria is partly to find out what's going on in the show, and partly to take part in the cultural conversation around it. And let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and taking a look at my other video essays.